Advocates of Silence Turkey, AST, is a non-profit NGO that aims to raise awareness on the intense and systematic human rights violations that have been taking place in Turkey recently. Its reference in human rights is shaped by international agreements starting from Universal Declaration of Human Rights. According to these agreements, humans have certain rights that are fundamental, inalienable, and universal. Protection of these rights creates the very basis of freedom, security, and justice. AST was founded by a group of academics, journalists, legal experts, and civil society volunteers with a firm belief in these rights to disclose the unprecedented corruption of power in Turkey and the victims it created. On the one side, AST is raising awareness on the human rights violations committed by the Erdogan regime among the international society. On the other side, it is getting involved in the legal processes of the victims in a pro bono and active manner. The AST documents the ongoing victimizations and shares them with the decision makers and general public. In this regard, 13 books, 34 reports, 91 videos, 33 exhibitions, 86 legal applications, and many other concrete accomplishments have been already made by the AST family. The AST prepares comprehensive reports on human rights violations and shares them with the United Nations, European Council, and European Court of Human Rights, all of which Turkey is a party to. Extending its outreach to human rights committees of the national parliaments, the AST is committed to be the voice of the voiceless. It also provides legal guidance for individual applications to European Court of Human Rights and other institutions to compensate for the violations with the mindset better late than never. You can reach out to AST over its phone number, website, or social media accounts and ask for help, participate in the activities, and contribute. The obligation to protect our rights lies with us. This is why we're here, and together we're stronger.
Hello everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank you all for joining us today to make a huge impact on the fight against women's rights violations, discrimination against women, violence against women, femicide, and arbitrarily imprisonment of women who are political prisoners in Turkey's jails. It's very obvious that women's rights have always moved backwards and failed in Turkey. Women have always faced discrimination, subjugation, and oppression and injustice. The laws have failed to protect women's rights. What is worse, last week, Turkey declared a decree stating withdrawal from the Istanbul Convention. The government, who is supposed to recognize and protect women's rights, who should protect the rights of women against violence, has just taken a step backward by this shameful action. Incomprehensible injustices have gone further, and this morning, Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu was taken into custody in the parliament's bathroom while getting ready for the morning prayers. We will talk a lot about solidarity today, and in this matter, I would like to extend our solidarity with Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu, who has been a relentless, tireless human rights defender, fighting for the rights of all people, regardless of their identities. Now, to begin, let's watch a short video showing the solidarity for Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu.
Ben dedi bu devletten 4 kez dışlandım. 4K'lıyım. Kadınım, Kürdüm, Kızılbaşım, komünistim dedi. Şimdi bu iktidar 4K'ya 5. K ekledi. KHK'lıları da bu soykırıma eklemiş oldu.
It would not be an overstatement to say March 17, 2021 is a dark day for Turkish democracy. An outspoken rights defender, an unyielding advocate of the victims, a parliament member from the opposition People's Democracy Party, Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu, was stripped of his parliamentary seat today. The ruling was based on a tweet that he posted 5 years ago, a tweet that called for peace. He was charged with terrorism propaganda. Yes, baseless and ridiculous, but when you consider who has not been charged with such crimes in Erdogan's Turkey, any person, initiative, political party or social movement that is effectively oppositional is a potential terrorist. It's only a matter of time, really. Yet, Gergerlioğlu stood out in the opposition and even from among the rights defenders, because he never asked at the identity and orientation of the victim. Never he cared. More importantly, he never backed down. In very brief, today, on March 17, 2021, a pacifist rights defender was punished for speaking the truth on the face of a tyrant, for speaking it out and loud.
Ben dedi bu devletten 4 kez dışlandım. 4K'lıyım. Kadınım, Kürdüm, Kızılbaşım.
Before moving on, I want to ask you something important. Can you please go share your thoughts on Twitter using the hashtags Istanbul Convention, hashtag Fight for Women Turkey, and hashtag Gergerlioğlu seninleyiz to support this event and to support Gergerlioğlu today. So we'll be protesting against violations of women's rights, violence against women, and arbitrarily imprisonment of women, thousands of women who are political prisoners in Turkish jails, and femicide. This program is happening now with a huge behind-the-scenes part. Hundreds of our volunteers from all around the world work day and night, not only organize this event, but also to promote to thousands of people across the world. They also ask their friends in the United States, in Kosovo, in South Africa, in Norway, and more for their messages for the women in Turkey. So we will hear a lot from across the world in different languages. Here is the first part of these messages.
Over the last number of years, we have seen an alarming decline in the protection for women in Turkey, a serious backsliding on rights for women in so many areas. But one area of particular concern to me is the disturbing rise in femicide, the targeting murder of women under dreadful circumstances.
Día a día es una constante la cantidad de mujeres y niñas encarceladas.
And we call for the abolition of all forms of restrictions against women, be it in the home, be it in the family, or in society in general.
We see too often government officials and judicial officers making excuses for these appalling crimes, whether for social reasons, cultural reasons, or religious reasons. But there is no excuse for this kind of appalling attack on women.
Comme la stigmatisation, aux violences policières, au harcèlement judiciaire ou administratif, et même à la détention pour exercice légitime de leur droit de manifester.
Raise our voices and speak out against all violations, including those men, women and children incarcerated in prison without trial.
Desde Argentina decimos ni una menos.
Amazing and powerful messages, right? Huge thanks to them and to our volunteers who brought these messages to us, to you. Now we have a live guest, a prominent journalist dedicated to work for human rights, specifically women's rights. Sevinç Özarslan, you know her very well. Welcome, Sevinç, and thank you for joining us today. What do you have to say concerning what women face in Turkey? I know you're so busy. There are a lot going on in Turkey. And I'm going to translate Sevinç. Yes.
Çok teşekkürler, hoş bulduk Hafsa Hanım. Yani bildiğiniz gibi Türkiye'de şu anda cezaevlerinde siyasi tutuklu olarak 17 bin kadın bulunuyor. Benim tespit edebildiğim rakamlara göre. Bu kadınların iktidarda bu kadınların cezaevinde bulunmasının sebebi fikir ayrılığı yaşadığı için, iktidarla fikir ayrılığı yaşadığı için cemaat operasyonları kapsamında tutuklanan kadınlar. Ben bu kadınların yaşadıkları hak ihlallerini, özellikle cezaevinde karşılaştıkları psikolojik ve fiziksel işkencelerle ilgilenen bir gazeteciyim.
Okay.
Bu kadın...
Let me go with this part first,
Okay.
if you allow me.
Okay.
So, 17,000 political prisoner women are currently in jails. In other words, these are the women who were arrested in the congregation operations because of the difference of opinions with the government. I'm a journalist dealing with the rights violations and torture these women have been subjected to. Yes, please.
Bu kadınların çoğu başörtülü. Yani bunu şunun için vurgulamak istiyorum. Bugünkü iktidar partisi, yani AK Parti, yıllar önce yaşadıkları başörtüsü mağduriyetini hala bu söylem üzerine devam ettiriyorlar. Ancak şimdi kendileriyle aynı fikirde olmayan işte 17 bin siyasi tutuklu kadını hapse attılar. Yani başörtüsünü bu yüzden vurgulamak istedim. Yoksa insanların kıyafetleriyle ilgilenen biri değilim.
So most of these women are religious women wearing headscarves. I want to emphasize it for this. Today, the ruling party continues to remain in power by developing a discourse based on the headscarf victimization that they experienced years ago. However, nowadays, they themselves cannot tolerate different opinions, imprisoning everyone who opposes them. 17,000 women have been in prison for disagreeing with the ruling party today.
Bu kadınların en önemli sorunları cezaevi girişlerinde ve gözaltı merkezlerinde Türkiye'de çıplak aramaya maruz kalması, çıplak arama dayatmasına maruz kalıyorlar. Ne yapılıyor bu aramalarda? Görevli 2-3 memur, bazen tek, bazen 2-3 kişi, bazı erkeklere de yapılıyor bu. Erkeklere böyle herkesin içerisinde yapıldığını da biliyoruz. Çıplak aranıyorlar. Çıplak aranma da şu şekilde yapılıyor. Bütün üzerlerindeki çamaşırları çıkartılacak şekilde yapılıyor. Ve tabii ki daha da vahimi, kadınlara 2-3 kez otur kalk hareketi yaptırılıyor o vaziyetteyken.
Yeah. So the most important problem of these women is the imposition of strip searches in prison entrances and detention centers. Accompanied by 2-3 attendants, these women are stripped so that all their underwear is removed. Even worse, 3 times are made to sit down and stand up.
Normalde bu çıplak arama dayatması uyuşturucu gibi adli suçlulara, adli konularda tutuklanan kişilere yapılan bir arama. Ama tabii ki bunun yapılırken de yine şartları var. Özel bir kıyafeti var, ona verilmesi gerekiyor. Ayrıca doktor kontrolünde yapılması gerekiyor. Ama şu an Türkiye'de tabii ki bu yapılmıyor. Yani onurunu incitmemesi gerekiyor. Özür dilerim.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. So normally this type of search is a practice for people arrested for crimes such as drugs, and there are some conditions for this to be done. A special outfit needs to be given. It needs to be under doctor's control without a bashing.
Tabii ki bunun şu anda siyasi tutuklulara bu uygulamanın yapılmasının tek sebebi var. Baskı kurmak, korkutmak, aşağılamak, incitmek, rencide etmek, sindirtmek, orada o kişinin yalnız olduğunu hatırlatarak moralini bozmak, yalnızlaştırmak. Tabii ki bunların hepsi psikolojik işkenceye, psikolojik şiddete giriyor. Çıplak bir şekilde aranmaları da tabii ki fiziksel bir işkence. Yani bir kadının, bir erkeğin de kabul edebileceği, kaldırabileceği bir durum değil bu.
There is only one reason for these strip searches made to the political prisoners in Turkey: to insult them, to hurt them, to bash, to intimidate, scare, by make them feel like they are alone and psychologically break down. Of course, these are all psychological torture. The strip search is also subject to physical torture.
Ben birkaç senedir çıplak arama mağdur kadınlarla görüşüyorum. İlk başta onların hiçbir şekilde ortaya çıkıp yaşadıkları işkenceyi, şiddeti anlatmak istemediler. Ama daha sonra yavaş yavaş anlatmaya başladılar. Kısa bir süre önce, 3-4 ay önce Türkiye'nin batı bölgesindeki Uşak'ta 30 tane kız öğrenci, üniversite öğrencisi bunlar. Onlara yapıldı bu arama. Daha sonra bu kadınlar tabii ki şöyle, hiç hayatının önünde karakolun önünden geçmemiş, hiçbir şiddete bulaşmamış, suç işlememiş hani insanlar, yani uyuşturucu gibi bir zaten bir suçları yok, başka bir suçları da yok. Ancak hiçbiri bunları gerçek kimliğiyle çıkıp anlatmak istemediler. Herkes korktu, çekindi, ondan sonra utandı, yani maalesef utandılar bunlardan. Ama yine birkaç ay önce AK Parti Grup Başkan Vekili, kadın siyasetçilerden Özlem Zengin'in Türkiye'de çıplak arama yoktur açıklaması kadınları çok kızdırdı, çok öfkelendirdi haklı olarak. Çünkü yalancılıkla itham edildiler, doğru söylemediklerine dair itham edildiler. Dolayısıyla benim görüştüğüm kadınlar tek tek, daha önce birebir görüştüğüm kadınlar tek tek video çekip yayınlamak istediler. Sosyal medyada bunları çok gündeme getirdik.
Yes. Let me go on. Yeah. So she says that I have been meeting with women who have been subjected to strip search tyranny for several years. Among them are my journalist friends who are under arrest, and 30 female college students were recently searched strictly. These are women in their 20s and young girls who have never been in front of the police station, who have never been involved in any crime or violence, and are just busy with their education. But none of them wanted to tell their experience with the real identity. They were embarrassed and hesitated and scared. They feared greater incidents of violence and rights violations would happen to them. And 3-4 months ago, ruling party's group deputy Özlem Zengin, Chairman Özlem Zengin, said that there is no strip search in Turkey. And this explanation was gotten steam all up of these women, close-tongued women, decided to speak. Almost 10 women have spoken with their real identities. There were also women who hide their identities. Most of them said that they could never overcome this violence, this torture, and there were, who told all these, with tears all around.
Yaklaşık 10 kadınla ben görüştüm ve bunları yayınladık. Aslında çok kadın bu çıplak arama mağduriyetine maruz kaldı. Ama ben yaklaşık bir 10 kadınla açık kimliğiyle görüştüm. Yani kendi isimleriyle ve görüntüleriyle çıkıp bunları açıkladılar. Tabii çok şeydiler, yaşadıkları bu şiddeti ve işkenceyi atlatamadıkları çok belliydi. Büyük bir travma geçiriyorlardı. Mesela bazıları 2 yıl geçmişti üzerinden bunu yaşadıklarını ama hala o travmayı atlatamamışlardı. Bu tabloda en vahim olan, beni en üzen şey kadınların çoğu maruz kaldıkları bu işkencenin normal olduğunu sanması. Yani rutin bir işlem gibi görmesi. Bu haksızlığa ses çıkartılması gereken bir haksızlık olduğunun farkına varılmamasına ben çok üzülmüştüm. Ama birazcık bu farkındalığı oluşturduğumuzu düşünüyorum artık.
The women that I talked to, they were all destroyed. What is most serious about this picture is that most of the women think that this torture that they were subject to was normal, and that they see it as a routine procedure, and they didn't even realize that they had to speak out to injustice. So she says that she wants to go on with this work. Yes, Ms. Özarslan, please keep up the good work, because you are being a voice and you are encouraging women to come forward and speak up. Thank you for these good works. Thank you for joining us.
Teşekkür ederim. Çok sağ olun. İyi akşamlar.
And thank you, Sevinç, for these important remarks and joining us. Please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can reach out to more and more people. We are going on with the next part of the video messages coming from different countries. Let's hear them out.
In this time, these days, during the pandemic, my thoughts are close to the women who are alone in their homes, without salary, without jobs, without money, without access to a healthy system.
Dans certains pays, on constate même un recul de ces droits déjà pourtant durement acquis avec le temps. En Turquie, par exemple, le droit à l'avortement, la liberté d'expression et d'opinion sont sans cesse remises en question.
In solidarity with women around the world who still have the oppressor's foot on their necks and cannot live free and safe lives. We will be fighting for you, all of us collectively around the world.
One of the key principles of our modern world is freedom of speech. While it is accepted that all freedoms have boundaries, which are created to protect the freedom of others, but when these boundaries are manipulated to further our own interests, then it creates a major problem of violation of human rights.
Αν πραγματικά μας απασχολεί το ζήτημα της ανισότητας και της αδικίας εις βάρος των γυναικών, δεν μπορούμε να περιοριζόμαστε μόνο στο στενό ή ακόμη και στο ευρύτερο περιβάλλον μας. Όταν τα δικαιώματα εκατομμυρίων γυναικών ανά τον κόσμο καταπατώνται καθημερινά, δεν μπορούμε παρά να υψώσουμε και εμείς τη φωνή μας μαζί τους και να διεκδικήσουμε έναν καλύτερο κόσμο. Έναν καλύτερο κόσμο για τις γυναίκες και για τα παιδιά μας.
And kudos to the men and women who collectively stand up and fight for your right to be treated as human beings in your own right.
Yeah, really, really great messages. So my friends just told me that we reached out almost 26,000 people, and I believe that we can go further and reach our goal, which is 50,000 people. I think we can do that. Yes, we can. And as Advocates of Silence Turkey, we carry out the fight for human rights by all means. Art is one of the languages we use to speak up. Last fall, as ASD, we organized a song contest through which people raised their voices using the language of music. We'll hear one of the finalist songs. The singer, Yağmur, is a young woman whose father is jailed. Facing harsh injustices, Yağmur migrated to the United States, and now she expresses her feelings with this song. Let's listen to her.
Dream like my whole life has ever been. Woke up in a prison no one's ever seen. They fed hopes and I heard dreams. Things human do and never mean. My life's hands tied and not the crimes. How much soul shall I take? How many setting suns? How much do I have to tell the crazy lies to myself? Don't toss it out, don't shut your eyes to the place we went through in our lives. Time's way too short not to strive. Raise your voices and let your soul shine. Don't toss it out, don't shut your eyes to the
Yeah, touching and moving. And I am hearing that the number of interactions watching is constantly increasing. That's good. That's perfect. Thank you so much for your support. As we are here to speak out against injustices Turkish women are subject to, it would be important to know what's really going on. Now we'll see some facts regarding the issue. Yes, horrible, unfortunately horrible. We are going on raising voices to let the voices of Turkey's women be heard globally. As I mentioned earlier, we have live guests today. Now Birgül Koçal will join us. As a dismissed public officer, Birgül is one of the thousands of women faced with persecution, arbitrary imprisonment, and enforced migration. We'll hear her own experiences firsthand. Birgül, can you share with us what you went through? And thank you, first of all, for joining us. Let's listen to your own experiences.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. My story is just one of the stories of women subjected to torture in Turkey. My sufferings might be lesser than others, but I want to talk about what I have gone through. I was detained in institution where I was worked as a civil servant in 2016. And the torture started as I was searched naked at Gayrettepe police station where I was detained. And in addition to that, psychological torture was also there, as female police officers were insulting to us always. And the torture changed its forms, but they continued in Bakırköy prison. The day I was arrested, I was subjected again naked search. Taking all of my clothes, including my underwear, and squatting down and standing up was the worst torture I have ever faced. Then our right of education taken away from us. The prison administration allowed the university students in the world to pay their tuition, but they didn't allow them to attend their exams. Our rights to health service were also taken from us. I had requested referrals to go to the hospital due to my certain diseases, but it took me 2 months to even institutional doctor. At that time, my 3-year-old little son stayed with me for a while, and his toys and even his medications were not allowed inside despite being sick. My son, who was crying all night because of breathing difficultly, I begged as a mother, but they didn't give us even a nozzle drops. That was a torture against a mother and a little child. And there was another woman who was thrown into a cell, and her baby was not given to her because she was in a cell. And imagine a mother who had shivering attacks due to milk, accumulated milk in her breasts. And she had to milk herself into a very, very dirty toilet where you don't wish even to enter for your needs. In addition to these, we had family visits only one time in every 2 months due to the state of emergency. And we could have met our lawyers with an officer and with video recording. Although we had no contact with anyone outside, but they are searching us with soldiers every week. We were 24 persons in our ward, and we had only 4 bathrooms. 2 of them were out of order, and 1 of remaining was without lights. And the prison administration didn't send anyone to repair them, even though we had repeatedly requested. But they were searching us. They were sending a lot of soldiers to search us. These are all torture I have been subjected in a short time, like 10 months imprisonment. There are thousands of women across Turkey who are being exposed to such kind of torture, and they are not able to express themselves. And especially there are women, mothers with children, who were a bit rarely arrested in prison and subjected to torture due to political persecution and riots. Finally, I can say I wish all this to end as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Birgül, for sharing your. These are sad stories. I know it's hard to tell, them, and it's hard to hear them. But thank you for speaking up, because this is the reflection of all other experiences, thousands of other women's experiences. Thank you for sharing with us, and thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
You too. Yes, let's remember once again, please share your thoughts on social media, specifically on Twitter, using the hashtags, #İstanbul Convention, #Gergerlioğlu seninleyiz, #FightForWomenTurkey. March is the Women's History Month globally, and women's problems are globally brought to the table through different means. On March 6th, volunteers of AST, Advocates of Silence Turkey, held protests at 40 different locations across the United States, Canada, Brazil, Costa Rica, Argentina. Hundreds of people called on Turkey's government to release the arbitrarily incarcerated thousands of women, to end violence against women. And now let's have a look at those events. We are gathered here today to give voice to women in Turkey. Women's rights have never been truly enjoyed in Turkey. Moreover, women have always been subjugated, discriminated, and oppressed by the social, institutional, and structural actors predominantly. The laws are not properly implemented to protect women or to recognize their rights. Today, the number of women arbitrarily incarcerated as political prisoners stands at more than 5,000, with a staggering increase in the number of new victims. Among those persecuted are more than 700 mothers who have been imprisoned with their infants, and numerous others who have been violently separated from their children. In Turkey, imprisoned women and prisoners of conscience in particular live in unsanitary prisons and are denied their rights to nutritional food, access to basic and complex healthcare and feminine hygiene products. Furthermore, discrimination and violence against women, including femicide, have risen drastically. In 2012, 300 women were killed. We, as Advocates of Silence Turkey, stand for the rights of the women who are victims of discrimination, violence and persecution in Turkey. We demand proper implementation of laws which recognize and protect the women's rights and well-beings, and the rest of the world, along with millions of others united in spirit on International Women's Day, we demand an equal and enable world for women. Yes, before moving on, I'm gonna turn to my friends. What's the number of interactions, guys? So they say that it's almost 29,000. Keep up the good work. We can reach our goal. I really believe that. So it's time to see what people from different parts of the world are saying again. Next part of the video messages for Turkey's women.
Morala sam da izlađam iz Turske preko reke Marica Čamcem. Zbog vlada Erdoganove, koja mi nije dozvolila da uzmem pasoš i pokrenula je krivični postupak na sudu. Nikad nisam ni dirla pištol, a ja sam član terorističke organizacije sa oružjem. Smešno, kao neki ružan san, ali nažalost realnost.
Women in Turkey are suffering now from various forms of physical as also mental oppression. Social pressure on women is high in Turkey. Sexual harassment, rape, mental violence are all ever present in the reality of women in Turkey.
جنها تاواني كشتن هي كتاون باركانيان بيسز لجريا سيدرجن هروها حالتي تذكير كردن هيا ولا سجنان زور بأفرتكان مثلا هوكارنية كبوي كجيراون ياخد زنداني سياسيين.
Our society should be seriously engaged in issues such as gender equality, gender equity, gender-based violence, and intimate partner violence. The impact of violence on women, but also on those around them, ultimately have a long-term impact on the health and well-being of themselves and their children, the community, and the society as a large.
The suicide rate of women who survive rape or sexual harassment is high. The impact of imprisonment on mental as well as physical health of women and their children who are also being kept in those prisons are severe.
We as women have to engage government and civil society to strengthen laws, legal system, and other response mechanisms to increase access to justice and improve service delivery.
If they speak up, if they try to raise their voices, they get arrested and locked up. The ones who cause these violations of human rights should also take the responsibility for it, we think. They should face trials so the mistreated women can face some kind of justice. Right now, this is not the case. Right now, the women of Turkey are paying the price for the injustice which is happening to them.
حاملة شيتيا ومثلا لجوليتاك كسياسة نكرن كحالتك نفسي زور خرابيان توشكا يعني بجدي ظلمك زور لأفرتك حالا لتركيا بابيك ودنك هالبرين دنك من بقات بود ثلاثيك بتواني أما بكورت وما فكان ما بقارن نو بخما.
Above all this, the Turkish government is reinforcing this system of injustice instead of taking action against it. That's why I'm here today. That's why we are all here today. Let's give those unheard people a voice. Let's come together and keep on fighting against women's rights violations. Let's stand with silenced women in Turkey.
I really feel empowered. I don't know if you feel, the same thing all around the world. You see, there are really great, strong messages empowering us, which means we will empower the women in Turkey. That's perfect. And I am looking at my phone. I have, lots of, maybe hundreds of messages saying that we are praying, we are still reaching out to our friends, that, coming to let them come here, support us. Now we'll connect our third live guest. Actually, he's a hero, a Superman, and you know him as Parachutlu Superman on the social media. As soon as he heard that such an event would happen, he called me and asked what he could do for women in Turkey. I appreciate Yavuz. Thank you for the sincerity, for joining us.
You're welcome.
How
No
do you
problem.
feel? What do you think, Yavuz?
Thanks for those good compliments. And I actually feel a huge need to say thank you for this organization. And as we know, violence against women has increased in Turkey, and hundreds of women are killed every year. Thousands of women were dismissed from their jobs for doing nothing criminal, actually. And there are thousands of women in jails, and they are actually political prisoners. Among these imprisoned women are 700 mothers, which means they are behind bars with their babies. This is double persecution. And there are thousands of women whose husbands are jailed, and that means they have to handle the household, their children all alone. And most of them cannot work since the government does not allow. And most of them are excluded from the society because of a huge stigmatization, actually. For this reason, I actually see this urgent action indispensable and really important. We have witnessed many injustices in this country for years, but everyone has just told about the persecution in their neighborhood, in their own neighborhood, actually, and ignored others. If we want to, I believe that if we want to change something, we must unite as all the oppressed and persecuted under the roof of fight against injustice and break that walls together. This is why I see that this organization is very important, because they're actually trying to do what I have just told you now. And I am ashamed to say this, but women are one of the largest groups in this country that have been subjected to stay in a second position. Yeah. And furthermore, oppression and discrimination for years. Yeah. We can only make a powerful noise by breaking those walls. Yeah. Then our voice will have a value and ability to change everything. And I need to say, please hear the voice of the women in Turkey. Please try to be a scream for the voiceless women too. And finally, I actually need to say, I want to finish up by saying that, you know, Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu, he's an MP in Turkish parliament, who represents not only a specific group of people, but all the people who have concerns with human rights, justice, and equality. I think I should say this, I support him by all my heart. We are in this all together, so I'm in solidarity with him. I hope he will get his seat back soon and continue the great work he has been doing for years. And again, I need to say thank you for this organization, really. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us, Yavuz. I mean, your message really means a lot. I mean, this meaningful message, your support, it's very important for us and for, you know, thousands of people. Thank you.
You're welcome. I actually thank you for giving this opportunity to speak about those subjects. Thank you.
So, you know, while watching us, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to help us for reaching out to more people. I told you that we have the song oh my God, you know, my friend is just saying that it's now 30,000 of people that are watching us. Thank you so much. This is a really great number, guys. I know that we can do that 50,000. It's a goal.
More than 40,000 people.
Oh, it seems that 30,000 people are watching, but when you consider the interactions, it's more than 40,000, and I know it's gonna make a huge impact. The synergy, yeah. I told you that we had a song contest, and many people shared their experiences through these songs, telling their experiences, telling their thoughts, feelings. And Miha from Canada is a young woman, just as Yağmur, whom we listened a few minutes ago. Miha will say enough. Let's hear her out.
I wouldn't know I'm born a crime. I'm only here 'cause I arrived. Didn't know it'd be so hard. Didn't know I'd be deprived. Maybe I'm not child enough. The cell is packed, it's hard to breathe. The lights are out, no food to eat. My mom is sleeping in a room that's full of monsters, and I'm here. Can I see her soon enough? But why is everybody else indifferent? Sipping on coffee and watching it burn. Isn't it way easier to word it out? You and me, we're both alike. You and me can change your life. You can be miles apart, don't worry about it. Our voices will unite. I wonder what it's like to fly. If there's a world beyond the bars. My mama says we have a home atop a hill next to a lake. We'll go there if I smile enough. I have a friend, she's 83. She plays with me and tells me stories. I hope she makes it out alive until the morning she is sick. But they say she's not sick enough. But why is it okay not to care alike? Sipping on coffee and watching it burn. Isn't it the easiest to figure out? You and me, we're both alike. You and me can change a life. You can be miles apart, don't worry about it. Our voices will unite. You and me, we can be anything if you believe in it. It's sad to see. You and me, we can be everything if you believe in me. It's sad to see. You and me, we can be anything if you believe in it. It's sad to see. You and me, we can be everything if you believe in me. It's sad to see. You and me, we're both alive. You and me, it's sad to see. You can be miles apart, don't worry about it. Our voices will unite.
We are not alone. You see, lots of thousands of voices, are joining us. And we hear you, Miha. We hear you, Yağmur. And we hear you, thousands of women all around the world. One more time for video messages. Messages for Turkey's women expressing their solidarity and calling for action.
I stand in support of women in Turkey whose rights are being abused. Urgent action is needed by the Turkish authorities to protect women from violence, from strip searches, from arbitrary imprisonment, even for women who are pregnant or have babies or small children, and from murder.
I think we are here today because we care about humans. We care about women, every single woman and their rights. We are here because we are dedicated to stop violence, torture in the world. And particularly today, we are talking about a tragedy that has been going on in Turkey for years by now. I wanted to be the voice for the voiceless. I wanted to say hi to everybody on behalf of women in Turkey who are sentenced to loneliness, worthlessness, and emptiness behind bars.
Ato gra, nana e motra kanë vendin e tyre pranë familjeve tyre, pranë fëmijëve tyre,
pranë shoqërisë për t'i dhënë asaj jetë dhe vazhdimsi. Ndërsa ata fëmijë që gjenden me nënat e tyre në përburgje duhet jetojnë fëmijërinë e tyre. Ata e kanë vendin pranë familjes tyre, në bankat shkollore për të jetuar fëmijërinë e tyre dhe për të ndërtuar një botë më të mirë.
To those of you who are fighting every day to make your countries better and more equal, but also to those of you who are still struggling to find your voices, just remember that we are a long way from the finish line.
That authoritarian regimes give more possibilities for men to use violence against women in intimate relationships. I don't understand this desire for the strong man on the top. Actually, we don't need this strong man. We need men that are interested in supporting women, that are interested in democracy, in freedom of speech, in human rights.
I think it's extremely important to break the silence and speak up very loudly against all the oppression, discrimination, violence and political persecution of women in Turkey and elsewhere.
Gender equality is a marathon, and it requires strength, bravery, and perseverance. And as gender is a social construct, there is still time for us to deconstruct it and put it back together the way it should be, fair and equal.
E ne gratë, kudo qofshin, në çdo cep të globit, një zëri t'i themi stop dhunës ndaj grave, stop padrejtësive.
Vetëm gratë duhet ngrenë zërin për të drejtat e tyre, por edhe ne burrat duhet ta ngrejmë zërin për to, sepse ne kemi lindur nga femrat në fund të ditës. Dhe duhet jemi shumë krenar për to dhe duhet i mbrojmë me çfarë kemi.
And I'm sure that with enough voices raised, the change has to arrive.
Mirëmbëjtje, be well. Hoşça kal.
So exciting, so exciting. We are coming to the end slowly. Our last live guest is Cemre Ülker. She is the United Nations representative of Journalists and Writers Foundation. And also Cemre and I are proudly conducting women's empowerment and gender equality projects at Set Them Free platform as the co-founders. Welcome, Cemre.
Hi, Afsa.
We heard a lot in terms of what's happening. Now I want to ask you about what can be done part and also what you are doing. While responding, can you also touch on the Istanbul Convention issue?
Once again, thank you so much, Hafsa. It's really hard to be the last one to talk, especially at such a successful event. We have heard from wonderful speakers, human rights defenders, women's rights advocates, and most importantly, survivors who are brave enough to share their experiences. I want to start by saying that I truly appreciate today's gathering at such a critical time with the collaboration of hundreds of volunteers. I really wish that this heartbreaking coincidence did not happen, that we are here today only a day after Turkey withdrew unlawfully from the Istanbul Convention. Yesterday, I was on Twitter all day long following the protests in Istanbul. I was really moved. I really wanted to be among those women, that big crowd of advocates who are raising their voices to be able to live in dignity. And today, I'm really glad that we are gathered virtually at this platform with thousands of individuals to stand in solidarity with the women in Turkey. And I want to say that at this point, it is really a life or death situation for women in Turkey, really. Last year, according to the We Will Stop Femicide platform, 300 women were killed in addition to 171 suspicious deaths with unknown reasons. Even though Turkey has been a state party, the convention was not applied anyways, but officially announcing the withdrawal does really legitimize the domestic violence and all the other forms of violence against women. It signals that it's okay for a woman to get beaten up to death in front of her children. It's okay for a woman to be burned alive by her harasser. That's the message that the government is unfortunately given. And this government pullback will only marginalize women who are subjected to violence more than ever. And we do not accept this. Yesterday, through its statement, UN Women also underlined that this action came at a point when international commitment to end violence against women and girls is more important than ever, given the critical increase in the violence during the lockdowns, the pandemic. And violation of women's rights is a topic that we have to stand in solidarity, regardless of our political, ideological, ethnical differences. Imprisonment of pregnant women, women with babies, elderly, sick women are unlawful, unacceptable, and we can only combat these through a global collaboration, setting our differences aside, really. We are still in the middle of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. It is the biggest intergovernmental platform that civil society organizations, women's rights activists can participate in, raise their concerns and be active in the decision making, in the resolutions. Hafsa, there have been over 700 panels organized in 2 weeks from all around the world. 25,000 advocates are signed in this online portal. I am very much involved in CSW since the last 7 years. We have had our own institutional events as well this past week, coming week as well, but it's a little sad that there were only 10 or maximum 15 panels about Turkey specifically. Only a handful of Turkish advocates registered in the system, attending the events, organizing meetings. Taking this chance, addressing to this crowd, I want to say that violation of women's rights in Turkey is our own problem. We are the stakeholders here. By being active in such international platforms, if not as an organizer, just as participants, to join in a session, ask for an intervention, let everyone know about what's going on in Turkey. As civil society, our voices coming together will create the political will to abide by the international human rights standards, convention. If we do not monitor the violations of women's rights, if we are not present at the international arena, then no one will hear us out, really. It's our own responsibility. And there are many international human rights documents already in existence, protecting and promoting women's rights. There is CEDAW, Istanbul Convention, Beijing Declaration, and Platform for Action, along with many other documents. It's only that the political will in Turkey is missing to abide by these treaties. And it is on us to resist against this sort of violations. We should never accept this status quo, and we have to continue to enhance our efforts to claim that women's rights are human rights. It's still not too late. I invite everyone to check out the website of NGO CSW 65 Forum and be present at every occasion, that so you can have a voice of your own opinion to raise awareness about the struggle of women's rights in Turkey. And lastly, if the strip search came into light, if there is now a public awareness on the arbitrary detention of mothers with babies, we majorly owe it to the tireless, heartfelt, brave work of Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu. I was so relieved this morning to hear that he is out now. I really hope that he will not be deprived of his freedom ever again, and we will not let him alone, I want to say. I'm sure everyone has seen the flowers surrounded Gergerlioğlu's room, pouring in from all around Turkey as he was defending democracy with his peaceful protest in the parliament for the last couple of days. And it's Newroz now, the first day of spring. I think Gergerlioğlu's flowers are the signs of the good days ahead, but only if we continue our solidarity, our unity. Despite all the dark side, all the challenges, we have to be hopeful in order to carry on our struggle to create a peaceful world that embraces everyone, regardless of our differences in political opinion, ethnicity, or gender. Thank you so much, Hafsa.
Thank you, Cemre. Thank you so much that you highlighted two most important aspects of the issue: raising awareness in all platforms wherever it's possible, and also taking action, speaking up. Thank you so much for bringing this to the table.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, more messages from other parts of the world. You see, we have a lot of friends. We have thousands of friends who support our work, which supports women in Turkey. Let's hear them out.
Coğrafyamızda yerleşik bir resmi ideoloji var. Bu resmi ideoloji son derece erkek egemen, feodal ve militer bir resmi ideoloji. Ancak Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Devleti maalesef ki bir hukuk devleti değil. Yani kendi iç hukuku, yazılı hukuku ve anayasayla iç hukukunun da üzerinde kabul ettiği uluslararası sözleşmeleri uygulamıyor. İmza atıyor ancak pratikte bunları uygulamıyor. En büyük sorunumuz bu bizim. Bugüne kadar bize 758 kadın ve trans kadın başvurdu. Bunlar gerçek sayıyı yansıtmıyor. Çünkü kadınlar yaşadıkları cinsel şiddet ya da cinsel işkence nedeniyle utanıyorlar, korkuyorlar, kirlenmişlik hissediyorlar ve açıklamıyorlar. Bunlar sadece açıklayan kadınların sayısı. Eğer fail devlet güçlerinden biri ise büyük bir cezasızlık söz konusu. Biz 1997 yılından beri çalışıyoruz. Bugüne kadar cezalandırılan 2 korucu dışında tek bir ceza alan devlet görevlisi olmadı. Büyük bir cezasızlık söz konusu. Bugün Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Devleti'nin İçişleri Bakanı olan Süleyman Soylu şöyle bir açıklamayı yapabiliyor. Diyor ki, ben diyor yakalarsanız lime lime edin talimatını verdim. Bu açıkça işkence yapın talimatını verdim demektir. Bunu söyleyen bir İçişleri Bakanı'nın olduğu bir coğrafyada kadına yönelik şiddetin artması doğru orantılıdır.
Selman vardı. Beyin kanserinden kaybettik Selman'ı. Ve Selman o kadar uzun süre babasıyla birlikte olmak istedi ki. Babasının suçu edebiyat öğretmeni. Babasının suçu bir dershanede çalışıyor olmaktı. Selman çok istedi babasıyla birlikte olmayı, zaman geçirmeyi. Babası için izin almayı başarabildim ama babası evlerine gittiğinde, jandarmalarla evlerine gittiğinde bilincini kaybetmişti Selman. Babasını yapamadılar. Ben artık böyle çocukların cenazesine gitmek istemiyorum. Doğum günlerine gitmek istiyorum. Bakın ben belki de bu programa katıldığım için yarın gözaltına alabilirim. Hiçbir kadın derneği cemaatteki kadınlara sahip çıkmadı. Ben solcu bir Hristiyan olarak ben her zaman yanlarında olmaya çalıştım. Son 5 yılda o kadar çok böyle her şey yarım kaldı ki, hayaller yarım kaldı. Çocuklar büyüyemedi. Anneler babalar çocuklarının yanında olamadı.
Some of the women in Turkey are subject to being arbitrarily detained and imprisoned, and sometimes with their children.
Basic human rights violations and murder just for being a woman and not I don't know, there's really no reason that this should be happening.
There are rising cases of femicide across the country and instances of violence against women.
It's heartbreaking, and as a woman in this world and as a human being in this world, we need to do better. We need to raise our voices together, and we need to speak out against this and advocate together.
We believe that women everywhere deserve to be safe and free from violence, and it is our hope that we can eliminate this scourge of violence against women.
Against any form of violence against women and other minority groups, against anyone that has not done wrong.
Hang in there, sisters. We're fighting for you.
Free from fear of punishment and death.
I'm really touched, and I'm sure that you are touched and moved a lot. And in between, I'm checking my telephone, and I have been receiving hundreds of messages from all around the world, Turkish, non-Turkish, Muslim, non-Muslim, and I cannot read all of them, the messages, but in common they are supporting, they are expressing their solidarity. It's really touching. I'm really happy to be among you guys. So yeah, they are telling me that the number of the interactions is still increasing. That's happy. And before closing up, I will make some final announcements. The first one, of course, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Twitter accounts. It's really important, guys, because if we have a lot of people supporting us there, it means that we are doing great. We are reaching out to lots of people, and these people in Turkey are heard globally. Please go subscribe to the YouTube channel, to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's Silence Turkey everywhere. And one more important announcement is about social media posts today. Please go and share your thoughts, feelings, support, solidarity on Twitter with the hashtags Istanbul Convention, hashtag Fight for Women Turkey, and hashtag Gergerlioğlu yanındayız. These are really important. These are really easy steps. It makes a huge impact. And last announcement. We are gonna be holding a very important, a very comprehensive event on April 11th. We will do a program about our work. You're gonna learn about AST and its work, what these volunteers, what we are doing, how we are doing, why we are doing. It's very important. So, and we cannot do anything without our volunteers, without you, I mean. Come join us. Let's make an impact. Let's, empower each other. Let's learn about the human rights work, and let's meet each other on April 11th. We're gonna share everything related to the event in the upcoming days. If you subscribe to YouTube and to Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, you'll learn about all these and more. Stay tuned. Now, we have said a lot. We heard a lot. Now it's time for action, of course, because we raised awareness. Now it's time for taking action. We need to urge the leaders, the decision makers, from the lowest level to the highest. We can and must do this by breaking prejudices. Just remember what Parachute Superman told. We have to unite. And by breaking prejudices over and organizing in solidarity, there should be only one point in our minds while mobilizing in such an important matter. It's only our common combat. Fight against violence, fight against inequality, fight against injustice. If we do this in unity, in solidarity, in political unity, then the strength we have will rise up. Polarization divides us and eventually creates so many different camps, and this ultimately makes us weak. It's not a fight we win. It's not a fight to win alone, but by increasingly coming together. So in solidarity, in unity, as AST, we call on Turkey's government to release thousands of women who are kept as political prisoners in Turkey's jails, to end strip searches, which is an attack on human dignity, to ensure the rule of law and protect women's rights, to end femicide, to bring perpetrators of unlawful actions and violence into justice. As the final verse, I would like to repeat once again, we are standing in solidarity with Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu, and we call on the Turkish government to reinstate his MP seat. He's a true fighter of human rights, and he is the greatest supporter of women in Turkey. Thank you for joining us today. Let's wish that this event conduces towards justice, peace, and well-being of women. Thank you.